Alright Libby Dunn fanboys, a new season of Anger Management Speedrun Simulator is upon us, and in case you missed all the announcements presented by these panty wetters, there's a big focus on faster games, quicker queues, less time in Champ Select, earlier minion spawn, and the one that wasn't announced, more reasons than ever for the losing team to rage quit. And to understand what Riot clearly didn't, let's break it down like this. In general, as time goes on you get more powerful. More items, more money, more women, less dignity, you get the picture. But sometimes if one team gets fed and we get all MX plus B in this bitch, they will have a higher slope which will lead to more money, more advantages, and exponentially more wealth than the working class who they can't relate to. This is the snowball effect in League of Legends, and this is why if it gets to this point, a lot of teams will be typing / followed by 2 Fs. But now, according to the self-declared King of the Apes, there are class quests which upon completion result in a small spike and then extra slope increasing benefits, which according to lines means that if someone is here while their enemy is still here, the incremental gap is larger than ever, meaning more snowballs than ever, and voila, we are entering into the FF10 era. So today I will show how this makes APCs even stronger, but also demonstrate how the first 10 minutes of most games will determine the winner now more than ever. Alright, game 1, I'm rocking Tiny Dumbledore in the carry role with Robert the Ratchet Ass Bull as my support against a MOBA fire mouth breathing meta comp against us. Val Delphine fires 2 gamer girl bath water bombs at him, and this is enough to make that perverted bully horny, so I put her in the Epstein circle, and then he apparently gets some gay urges while I focus the wrong target, but in the end more CC equals more GG and we win the first fight. Then a minute later we get word that Pink Floyd and her bullet ant Mittens will be visiting us soon, so Bobby the Bull requests Ariana jump and I have her land on a grande stun as Lean Beef Patty comes in to contribute by smiting a melee minion before I get the credit for the kill. Anyways, I'm back at lane trying to show these hoodlums that being a midget wizard is kinda of my thing while treating my mini-map like a Jack Doherty stream, aka you couldn't suck my dick to look at one of those, but then I get intel that there is an opportunity in the river to commit homicide, so I RSVP yes to the occasion. I come up and don't even look at the bath water distributor, mainly to red pill her ego, and then I make Aphelios taste the rainbow. This leaves just Deadpool in a worse position than Jake Paul in the ring with a real boxer who doesn't follow the script, but unfortunately me and my teammates fumble the bag so he gets away. We then approach the statue with bad intentions for it while my coworkers put in motion the plan we discussed to convince this Aphelios player to install Arc Raiders, and by the lack of time he's been able to keep color on his screen so far in this game, I would say that plan was going well. I finished my first item, which means the second this walking arsenal of Halo 2 weapons looks at me the wrong way, I will be demonstrating to him what my win fight button does. Then typically one of the main advantages to playing a resident right clicker in this game is that you can take towers down quickly, but here at Riot Games we now treat our objectives like we treated our women in 2023. Vulnerable to be touched by anyone, as you can see, the burst, the grubs, and just a bunch of other shit that makes it blow up like a brand's reputation after a lawsuit. Then of course the mob boss comes in thinking an armored cow and a Hogwarts convict aren't threatening, but we tie him up, shove a bunch of magic down his throat before eating his ult and saying close but no cigar, which I know will trigger a sore spot for him. It's only 11 minutes into the game, but you can see their ADC already has less focus than an Adderall addict who's gone cold turkey, so he pushes up blindly onto I'm Fucked Avenue, where I guess we are playing a quick game of hide and seek, which is a weird thing for a grown-up to request, but hey, in your last moments alive you do, my man. I've now finished my quest and their Aphelios has not, which means the current power dynamic looks like this, and to make matters worse, Nicotine Nicholas over here is finding himself in another situation where I can be cheeky as fuck and say the same stupid joke of him being close but no cigar in his attempts to wrangle that boot-wearing python. Then I see him trying to cheese me in the scrubs, but he must have missed the newsletter if this bedwetter thinks he'd get away with that cheddar. Anyways, the theme of Aphelios not being able to play the game continues, as I have 2 items before he has 1, which means I don't even need to land my shit in order to prove that he is shit. In the literal second the enemy team is able to forfeit, you can see they will be begging to get out of the game because of MX plus B shit, aka means there's less chance of them coming back than ever, but I did want to show a game of how this would play out if a team doesn't immediately give up. Alright, so I chose to play my banging internet GF for game 2 because when you have a Zoe support, Drowsy quickly becomes the perfect appetizer to pair with the main course, which in this case is death. This leaves just that thick-hipped wingding all alone in lane by 2 minutes, and unfortunately you dip into the roofies without having your support system around you. You will be getting sent back to Fountain. Up until this point there's nothing new ground-shatteringly worthy of being talked about on all the slop tuber drama channels, as everyone already knows that early game AAPC is just like herpes on your ballsack to deal with as a meta following marksman, as every time this chick got tranquilized it was just a flashbang of lumens of this chick's hoo-ha until she died. Let's just say if these two ladies were in the market to buy a new car, the one dealership that they would be staying far away from is Dodge, and unfortunately that became detrimental for them, as some of the deals being offered there would have quite literally seemed life-saving. I was now so fed you could slap an EX after my name and have me deliver packages for a living, as even in sloppy 1v1s where I landed a negative percentage of my abilities I was still coming out on top. At one point my support ventured far into the danger zone to score a field goal with her Q, and then I punt mine out of bounds before she deep throats an ult. This level of utter incompetence on display should result in a resounding L for us, but keep in mind I'm Roger Federer at this point, so greedy bitch numero uno gets front row tickets to the light show. This leaves just DJ dipshit left for dessert, and I knew she was deaf but I didn't think she was blind, as she ran back towards danger only to prove me wrong by losing her murder virginity as one of the last things she did before making peace with her god. I arrived back to lane with an item and a half, and that's just about enough for me to ping to my support that it's getting close to their ADC's nap time, so it's probably best she put her down, but then I'm like whoa not yet, so I shine bright lights in her eyes and the whole thing gets messed up, so we just kill her instead. But the one positive that came from this botch snap is that I finished my quest, which meant my Y-intercept of 0 no longer meant shit because I was now riding a slope that had Powder Mountain real quiet right now. At this point I get bonus gold from kills because I have the quest completed, which means the next time I hit a mist ult on 2 of them and get a double kill I will print close to 1000 gold. This also means I'm an entire item ahead of their naive fuckface of a carry, and with the help of a weaponized hula hooper I can politely ask her where all her health went. Everyone on my team was diffing the shit out of them except for this trundle, who was basically wiping the floor with the Bauststead ballsack all game, so despite being fettuccine alfredo I approached this fight like a male in a public gym approaches, looking in the general direction of a female, cautiously so I don't get fucked, and after a few combos and keeping him at Shaq Dick's length away from me, he eventually went down. They haven't given up like most teams do, which shows they don't understand basic linear algebra, so you'll get to see just how out of control the lead gets, which starts with Zoe shoving some ambient up Leona's poo tunnel and then inviting the chickens over to watch what happens to her. Then, since that Champs kid is super fun to play against, she can build a fucking dagger and still mukbang 3 full combos from a legendary duo. I know magic resist, says the backseater in the comments, reeking of the odor from his unwashed fleshlight, but it's okay because eventually she got tired and was more receptive to being killed. Our top laner was attempting to be shilling or whatever the fuck that means, but he was failing, so I had to shine bright lights into the deaf bitch before tying up their ADC and unleashing the power of the titty laser to keep myself alive. And then you probably think 2 mages and a fat fuck can't take a tower fast, but that's when you forgot that these statues were made with Play-Doh in the new season apparently. Then my chief of staff whispers into my ear that Leona got another item and they fear the full power of the army won't be able to take her down, so I'm just like, maybe tame a Godzilla crab and use it to nose tackle her so that I can actually land a bind a bitch combo, and I'm pleased to say the mission was a success. That said, all our tax dollars went toward this giant war beetle, so we had to get our money out of it, and I wasn't going to let some floating fuck get in the way, so I bursted her down before even needing my ult, and then I looked at the 2 morons with their tongues stuck to the frozen statue, then pointed and laughed at their inability to realize that this game is impossible for them to win at this point. Trundle was likely the one voting no on the surrender requests, which is borderline troll, no pun intended, so we said let's throw him into Dragon Pit and break his spirit a little. At this point we were just fucking around, if I'm being honest. The chance of their Nexus blowing its load tonight was just as high as the Turbo Virgin backseaters commenting about magic resist, as we were just letting them engage and then continuing to show them that this was hopeless. I think Troll Kingdom Cucklord over here was still hanging on to the dream of winning, but we put him to sleep so he would learn it's just nightmares from this point forward, and then after we finished with him I'd like to introduce you to their Shaco. That's right, they had one of them, but yeah, this season is going to be the pinnacle of teams completely quitting by the 10-minute mark or refusing to give up and dealing with the 17-0 Lux, who was only out damaged by a fucking full tank Cho'Gath. Subscribe for more. Rav out.
That's the stuff.